And as we will sing together our national anthem from the love of liberty in the hearts of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this united land, we pledge our lives to you. Every creed and risk and an equal bliss, and we God bless our nation. Every creed and risk and an equal bliss, and we God bless our nation. Well done. I'd like that we remain standing as we invite the Creator to come within our midst for today's proceedings. And I'd like to do a call on Mr. Michael Chumet, aka Shoes, to do the invocations this afternoon.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. Pleasant afternoon to the head table, to members of the union and members of the public, as we lift up this session before God. Heavenly Father, once again we come before your throne today, humbly bowing at your feet. Pray God that you will guide us and bless us as we go through this session. UCESL, this afternoon we lift it up as a company. We lift it up that it shall be a beacon unto the situations of Trinidad and Tobago. It's a change, it's a direction of inspiration, development, honesty, fairness to each and every one. Father God, guide us this afternoon as we go through our afternoon. We pray, God, that you will cover us. Those who are on their way, bless them, O God. Those who have to travel on their way back home, we ask, God, that this session will have your honor. We give it to you the honor and the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ask for everyone to stand again as we will move a 1 minute silence for all the former, commemorate all the fallen soldiers, and also in remembrance of our 50th anniversary of the 1970 revolution. We begin now. Thank you. You may all have your seats. First and foremost, I would like each and everybody with a loud round of applause. It's for yourself, just for being here this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, comrades, all, everyone present here, this is groundbreaking. This is a first time. This is you being a part and taking the bull by the horn. This is you seeking out your business first. And for that, I say once again, let's give all who are here a round of applause for that. Too often, for us to come together, there has to be a situation whereby we are reacting to, or we are trying to get some resolutions for. But today, ladies and gentlemen, you are here to start at the ground level. Now, if you notice, we just moved a minute silence or something. So in other words, we may be 50 years late. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is really important that for the next couple of hours, that you clear your mind, you listen, you be a part. And this is not a talk shop where persons are going to be speaking down to you. You will have an opportunity to send back your questions this week. Because the reason we are here is for participation, for input. In other words, as the words of our country says, together we aspire, together we achieve. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, notice I did not name, because why? I want you to be on the ball this afternoon. This is not about me. It's about you. It's about us coming together to do it right, and to do it right the first time. At this moment, I'd like to now call to the podium a comrade to give an overview. And it is so important that we listen. Yes, please feel free, come in, come in. And as I said, open your minds, take in. If you need a pen or a pencil to jot down your questions for when that open forum comes, that will be provided. So at this time, I'd like to call to the podium a director who will give an overview. And we are to please listen, take in, and try our best to see ourselves in everything that is being said. I now call to the podium Conrad Caraballo, Director. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
Thank you, Mr. MC. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First thing, one of the things I say before I acknowledge you here table is, it was good to see, whilst I was here, about 5 or 6 young people turn up before 2 o'clock. And this is very important, and I applaud you for this, because you know how important being here is, and you showed up on time, even though this meeting started late. Okay, I would like to acknowledge on the head table the Managing Director, Mr. Donny Thomas of UCESLtd, Comrade Ozzy Warwick, Chief Education Officer of the OWTU, and Director Ms. Kenisha Fortune of UCSL. We have another comrade on the way, another guest speaker. He will be here by about, he said 3 o'clock, so give or take, he should be here shortly. Okay, let's get started. My name is Conrad Caraballo, right? I'm a director of UCSL, and I welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, guest speakers, to our community outreach. This is the first place we decided to come and introduce ourselves to the community. There are other places that we have to go as we go along. We want to tell you how, as a company, we will be different to the other incarnations that you are familiar with. But before I get there, I need to say something about why there are companies like this. And the reason being is one word: oil. Gas came in lately, oil and gas. If it was cocoa, coffee, sugar, we would have been here for the same reason. But what we are here for is because of oil. And I would like to give an overview on how we came from oil in Trinidad to this present time. So I have my information in 2 parts, then to now. Where we came from with oil, how it came about, and ending up with UCSL, because I'm going to show you all the different contractors, labor supply contractors that pass through here. And I'm going to ask you at the end of it if you think that the people and community of Ottawa Mayaro benefited from all these incarnations that pass through here. Okay? So, okay, here I go. My heading is a brief history. You all hear me? Okay. A brief history of oil in Trinidad and Tobago. Oil actually came about because a pirate by the name of Walter Raleigh, looking for gold, working for the British, came down here and found the pitch lake. In the pitch lake, he realized that he could fix up his boat. They stay over, patch up his boat with the pitch, and because it's soft, they burn it, and they use it as a lighting source for the torches. He went back to England. Well, of course, at the end of the day, he was hung, right? And that was it for a while. After that came a guy by the name of Captain Walter Darwin. This guy came specifically to drill for oil. He drilled the first well in Aripero Estate in South Trinidad. This was considered the first commercial well in the world. He did some stuff with it. Unfortunately, he died at a young age. He died about 48, either 45 to 48. And everything with respect to oil went cold for a while. Until a hunter on the Panton estate saw oil on the surface and told his boss about it. Randolph Ross and John Lelam heard about it, and they decided to do some exploration. That was in Guayguayari. Good? They were very successful in the exploration, a good campaign. And they started to sell oil. Stuff started to happen in Trinidad and Tobago. Life started changing in Trinidad and Tobago because oil now was commercialized. However, oil didn't really take off until in 1900, because this was the time when the world was waking up to cars. Henry Ford and them started to put cars on the line. The Wright brothers started to tinker with planes because they want to use jet fuel to fly this stuff. Because before they was thinking about the air, they was using coal. Coal was the fuel at the time. So oil started to take over. Winston Churchill, the Prime Minister of England, he decided to change the fuel from coal in the Royal Navy to oil. And when that happened, because we were under colonialism, Trinidad oil and oil really took off. Because Trinidad became the largest oil producer for the British Empire. Notice I didn't say England, the British Empire. There's a saying, can't remember the poet, Tennyson, I think. He said the sun never set on good old England. It took me until I was 17 years to understand that. What it simply means is the British Empire was so huge, it had so much land space, that when there is sun here, there's night on the other side. So if they own all these land mass and they have 2 time zones, then the sun never set on the British Empire. That's how huge it was. So think about Trinidad and Tobago producing oil for the British Empire. Everything was going good until 1930. In 1930, the world went into depression. And when the world went into this depression, they start to treat the workers, they need to produce more. When they start to treat oil workers like this, the oil workers and them started to question why we, why us. And I want you to think about what I'm saying because some of these things will sound familiar, right? So follow me on this. This happening way back, way back. This isn't happening today or yesterday, way back than yesterday. The workers decided that they have to do something about it. So they banded together and they decided to confront the problem together in unity as a team. Out of the conversations with the bosses and stuff and things, a guy came out at that fight, that struggle by the name of Tubal Uriah Buzz Butler. How much of you all know that name? That guy led these workers in fighting back for their rights. We're not talking about having a union here. This guy started because the workers themselves decided enough was enough. This led to the most famous strike in Trinidad and Tobago was on the 19th of June 1937, when a lot of people got killed. Out of that strike, and out of that mayhem and chaos, and shootings and stuff, the OWTU was born by Adrian Cola Renzi. You will hear more about that from the representative there. So most people wouldn't understand why OWTU is here, there, and everywhere fighting for workers' rights. They didn't just come about to do it for business. They was part and parcel of the struggle for oil workers, right? So, I could go on that, but I know we have some time and limited time, so I'm moving on now. Because of oil and gas, there was a need for contract workers because the service continued, drilling continued. I'm going to focus my conversation on the southeast coast because the southeast coast is what concerns me. As a person from the community of Ottawa Mayaro, the southeast coast concerns me a lot. So I'm going to go into the contractors like UCSL, labor supply contractors that was here before us. We had a company by the name, and these companies I'm going to call out as companies that played a major role up here. In between there were one or two small companies, but they didn't last long. But these are the major players that passed through Ottawa Mayaro. There was a company by the name of Skinner Marine Operations Limited. They operated from 1969 to 1980. This company was owned by Bob Skinner. He owned about 5 rigs that we know was working out there. He was doing land and offshore. Right? Second one I want to name is a company by the name of Pool Santana, owned by a guy, the Trabole family. Bearing in mind that these contractors had their own rigs and their own workforce. So they were very, very powerful in those days. There was another contractor by the name of Petrosa, owned by Errol Spencer and a guy by the name of Hamid. These 4 companies were the forerunners of the incarnations you're seeing today. The only difference with these companies and today, those owners, these companies own their own rigs. The reason being, the MODU, Mobile Offshore Drilling Unit, wasn't around as yet. With the introduction of the Mobile Offshore Drilling Unit, and for those of you who don't know what it is actually what we call a jack-up rig, a semi-submersible rig, and then they introduced the drill ship and stuff like that. So with this introduction, workers could now stay offshore and live for a longer period of time in a more comfortable scenario, a more kind of home setting. Right? After this phase out, I say phase out in this incarnation because Skinner right now break morph into different companies. One of the companies off at the top of my head is Delta Logistics. Delta Logistics is Skinner. Delta Logistics is Skinner. We had Well Services, they're still around on the West Coast. They're no longer here on the East Coast. They, by heritage, it was in Petrotrim and Outtrimmer, so they're still around. They still have the rigs operating out there because the local company doesn't have MODU as yet. Normally they might bring in a small jack-up to do certain things, and that is it. They do their work, the people stay on the platform, or they boat them back and forth. Enter LPSL, Lennox Petroleum Services Limited. This company is owned by Lennox Passad. This company had no rig offshore, they had a few small runway and trucks, on the back of trucks doing work for Mexico and so on. All they did was supply workers and do other auxiliary services. And they will do the catering to support the drilling services. So they will get a contract for drilling services and catering. Before my other companies, one which was out here, did some work, LOS, Lennox Offshore Services. Same Lennox facade. Then came about JSL. Anybody know what JSL stands for?
Yes, Limited.
Good. I don't know. I never know. I never think. I'm glad somebody said it. No, I don't know.
I did.
Okay. I don't know. This company was owned by Javed Ramcharita.
Oh, next one.
You see what I mean? So I don't know what JSL stands for. I thought somebody might know. Then came Titan Logistics, owned by Sue Rambachan.
Who?
Sue Rambachan.
SUE?
SIEW.
I know him, Dr. Veteran.
Good. And then came Artemis Energy Services Limited, owned by a guy by the name of Nicholas Mike. Then soon after there was Orion, owned by Nicholas Mike. And then you have our company, UCSL, which we are here today. Now, out of LPSL, we have JSL, Javed Ramcharita, worked for Lennox Petroleum Services Limited. Sue Rambachan worked for Lennox Petroleum Services Limited. Nicholas Mike worked for Lennox Petroleum Services Limited. Good? So what we just now, you get a chance to talk. What we see happening here is a company behind fruit. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, to me, if something not right, to me something not right, because if I have somebody working for me at the top level, and suddenly they start doing things like this, and these companies were formed like you put some chickens to hatch, and one chicken come out today, and another couple hours the next chicken come out, and then the next chicken come out. That's how these companies were formed. Now, I want to tell you something about UCSL. I already talked to these companies. So, UCSL, right, was born out of the need to support workers who go on the way to work offshore. I myself, being a worker out there, understand what it is that a worker have to go through when he's out on the job. These people I call here, none of the directors ever work offshore. So if they seem not to understand what goes on out there or understand the people who work out there, you can't blame them much. Not that they don't know, but I will say they don't care. Our company is a company that will be different to these companies.
Really?
We want to partner with the community. We want not to be a friend of the worker, but what we want to do is to make sure that these workers who go out to work for us, that they are given the just dues and reward. Because we know that if it wasn't for these workers spending 14, 21, and 28 days offshore, rain, sun, and lightning, thunder, right? When they want to make a phone call, they can't get a phone call, they can't talk to the family, right? We could identify with that. Nice. We intend to make sure that what is happening now, what is passing for employer relationship goes out the window.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Good?
Thanks.
In order to do this, we need to let the community know where we stand. There are some things, I know people come here looking to say, we get work, we get contract. When we came here, we put out an ad, we never said that bring your resume here. Every other incarnation passed through here, they say bring your resume. I saw one the other day and I found it disrespectful. Submit your resume, resubmit your resume if you have already submitted a resume to us. Let me tell you something. If you submit a resume to us and it needs updating, it will be in our database and somebody from the office will call you and tell you you need to update your resume. It wouldn't be resubmit your resume. If you're telling me resubmit my resume that I gave you 2-3 months ago, what the hell did you do with my resume? So your mama guide me. People in Miaro asking the question again, asked it before. What are the benefits that you think that you got from all what I just said, all the incarnations, all the companies that passed through here? I'm not dealing with the upstreamers. I'm not dealing with the upstreamers. I'm dealing because I'm not an upstreamer. I'm a director of a labor supply contractor. And what is happening now, better could be done. We need, and listen to me, we as workers, I'm a worker, even though I'm a director, I'm a worker, we need to stop what is happening now. And the only way we could stop what is happening now, we have to realize how much we are worth. Stop selling yourself for nothing. These people cannot do the job, cannot get contracts without you, the workers. Understand that in this area, we have some of the most highly trained workers in that oil and gas industry. Not because we're brighter than everybody, but because at the upstreamers we were exposed to a lot of training. You understand? So the training and combined with the experience, plus most of our fathers, uncles, mothers came from the oil industry. So comrades, I want to go on and on, you know, but I have to, just now you'll get your chance to. I have to stop here because time is against some of the speakers come from outside. Not that we want to run, but I need to give them time. I live in the area here. I am from Miaro. And I know since this company come about, registration, opening and stuff, and even before, I've been getting a lot of favorable response from the people in my community and elsewhere. So I know I have the support of the people of Miaro. But I want to tell you all something. I don't want you all to take my word for it. I want you to hold this company to account because most of you all have been working for this company. Because we didn't come here to sit on the sideline. We come here to make a difference and we will make a difference. Right? And you all are the witnesses today for what I'm saying on behalf of the company. We will be different. We will be supporting people in the community. We will be supporting groups in the community. We will be meeting with the stakeholders in this community, all who dwell in here, all the contractors. We will be writing them. And when I say partnering and helping the community, I'm not saying that we're going to get together and say we're going to give the community this, that. We will get the leaders from the schools, the groups, the interest groups, get everybody together and let us see what is happy for each and every one, and I'm sure we could find a solution to the problem. So with this I say thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Brothers and sisters, I think we could do better than that. To work is a right, not a privilege. I will say it again. To work is a right, not a privilege. All right? Not said.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor. Thank you, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we said, you will get an opportunity to pose questions to the directors of this organization. But on every team there is a captain. And the captain is supposed to be the #1 speaker on behalf of his team.
Okay.
So, to the community of Miaro Walgari, I would like to now introduce the captain of United Constituency Energy Services Limited in the person of Mr. Donny Thomas.
I just want to say good afternoon to the people of Miaro and environs. I appreciate the fact that you took your time to come here to hear what the company is about, because I know in time past a lot of companies came and there was a lot of empty promises. So I really appreciate the fact that we can show up here today in support of this company, not knowing what the company is about, but just hearing about the people involved, like Conrad, myself, Kenisha, and everybody else who lent their support. I want to start by saying a couple of things. First to begin, I remember my first trip offshore. It was on the West Shire. I'll never forget that. When I reached on the rig, it was like, a child now in a play park for the first time. Not knowing this, not knowing that. But over a period of time, I learned. It wasn't easy, because I was now adjusting to 6 to 6 work, always being there, being away from your family and stuff. And it isn't something easy. The first thing people look at from offshore is the money. You working offshore, they working offshore, they have money. But with that money that they're looking at, there's a lot of sacrifice to make that money that people will look at and take for granted. And I can remember when I came in the oil field from my perspective was straight, because it had people who was conscious enough to know that I leave my family to come here and I get what I rightfully deserve as a citizen of this country. Now we hear a lot of saying like half a bread is better than none. And I want to address that half a bread mentality that we start adopting in Trinidad and Tobago. A former worker met me it was First Citizen Bank in Gulfview. And he said, Donny, you wouldn't go back offshore and work? I said, as long as the terms and conditions is the same as when I met it in the earliest. He said, but if they're paying you half, I mean, you get half your salary and stuff. I said, half? I said, yeah, I don't mind going. I said, but if I work in 14 days, it will bring down to 7 days at 6 hours. I said, that's the definition of half. No, I mean, well, what happening now? And he's trying to convince me that I should go offshore and work 28 days for the salary I used to work for in 14 days, without all the benefits that the OWTU, at that time when I was working under a union agreement, the OWTU had bargained for the workers. And in addition to that, I remember having a discussion with a comrade who was going on a rig, and he said, Donny, the company paying real big. And it had the coordinator right there, and I said, tell him how much money you're working for with all the benefits from the OWT. When the coordinator told him, he was like, serious? So there and then, we get to understand that there are a lot of unconscious people who just looking to go on a rig, not understanding what is their rights, not understanding at that given time what you was working for. It wasn't the company give you that from the goodness of their heart. Because when the company started to give from the goodness of their heart, well, I guess we see how good their heart were. And I left the oil field in 2016. A lot of other comrades did. And in leaving the oil field, a lot of things took place. right? A lot of things that we all know. And you cannot blame some people for, supporting something if there isn't another option, or if what it have is on par with each of the companies that it have is on par. Nobody doing more, but everybody willing to do less. And I used to be like saying to myself, why these workers can't stand up? But not everybody was born to be a leader. Not everybody was born to be a doctor, a lawyer. But God does rise up people when He sees fit. Christ's disciples wasn't perfect men. Name a disciple that was perfect. Not one. And I was a conscious young man, being around conscious friends, co-workers, union members, comrades, very conscious. They always impart something in me that will stay. Right? I had the privilege of meeting a comrade by the name of Mark Frost. This is Mark Frost. A lot of us know about him. We know what he accomplished. He was one man, but he had a vision, he had an idea where he wanted to see Trinidad go, how he wanted to see the oil field be structured. And I could safely say he was a mentor to me because he used to speak on something that this company was, built on. And it's called integrity. It's part of our core values, integrity. And he used to always stress on it and say, the definition of integrity is to do the right things when nobody is looking. Doing the right things when nobody is looking. Okay. And he used to emphasize on it a lot. And I can remember when I came to the oil field through a comrade who brought me into the oil field, that I'm grateful for up to this day. He carried me to meet Mark Frost. And he looked at me and he said, comrade, what's your name? I said, Donnie Thomas. Yeah, what's your name, comrade? Speak up. I said, Donnie Thomas. And then he tell the comrades, he said, look out for this comrade, I see good things from him. And Mama, I come here, I come here to look for work, I want to get work here, money sharing offshore. Because I didn't develop that level of consciousness yet. But eventually, as time goes by, I learned a lot. I was taught a lot. I fought for a lot. And I had good people around me to push me, to encourage me. And when I take a stand, I take a stand. After observing how the oil field had become, we marching, fighting, trying to, make a change. But while we trying to make a change, the company's going about doing what they have to do. Workers doing what they have to do. Company had to make money. Workers had to mind their family. So it hit my day. I say, why if they're playing tennis, we playing basketball? I say, we have to play tennis too. And the idea just hit me. As a kind of crazy person like that, the idea hit me, running it. Judge me after. The greatest discovery come from mistakes. To have a blue pill, that was a hard pill, but like that was a mistake that people feel now was an invention. But nevertheless, I decided to put a team together with people who understand the oil field, people who will give that fight, and there the challenge started. We had meetings. We didn't know much about forming a company, but who born with the knowledge of knowing? But once you have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, anything is possible once you put your mind to it. And I got the right set of people to be surrounded by. It took some balancing, some reshuffling, but eventually we got it right. And from the 11th of March 2019, this company got incorporated. And that was just phase one. We worked hard. We meet a lot of brick walls that we didn't know how we'd surpass it. But by the grace of God, we prayed. We had people praying because they saw the potential of the company. And we got the support from people, even though at times, a lot of people just didn't want to say it in our face, but they didn't believe. But the worst thing somebody could do is doubt somebody who have a mind, who set the mind on something. Because if you feel now like you have a point to prove, because you know in your heart, your purpose is to do good. And the same people who might doubt you is they who want to benefit, but they will fight you because the easiest thing to do is to be negative. But the first thing I told myself when I started to put things together for this company was, don't get despondent when things don't go your way. And sometimes at a point in time, I used to want to pick up a speed and run. And Carabao used to say, don't you wait to go boil down, you'll see. And after a period of time, I got to understand, you do what you could do, and let God take control of the rest. And we see so many things that, was hindering the company from moving forward. And God just removed it. God just removed it because we had a lot of people praying for the company. We ourselves pray for the company. I just get up every morning between 5 and 5:30 and pray. Every morning. When I reach in my office, I pray. Because I know this didn't happen just so. But when I look back at my life, it was preparation for this. Who don't want to see what their true purpose is? That is them. But I saw my purpose as to help people. See a change. I believe in development. I believe in unity. I don't believe in division. United we stand, divided we fall. What I see happening in the oil field, that is not how Trinidad is supposed to be. Where only 3 entities benefiting from the main source, which is the human resource. The upstreamers, the clients, and the company that employer. That's the only people that benefiting. What about the communities? I'm from Point 410. But when I look around here, I see a lot of guys that are partially rig, we probably wasn't on the same crew, but we partially oil field. We understand what the oil field is about. We understand the sacrifices that is being made. I work as a Rasta about it. I proud. It's hard work. Sometimes you're running case and you're sleeping on yourself. Sometimes you're watching a roughneck on the rig floor. You can see that your partner, you can see tired, he toast. We understand that. The people around me understand that. Hence the reason why I choose people who was in the oil field. So we will all guide each other. What a man who never pull a slip, who never make a 12 hours offshore could tell me about offshore. But work hard, make your company proud. Really? Or they representing, whatever the acronym will be. Represent the company, make the company proud. But are the workers getting what they rightfully supposed to get? We have to ask ourselves. When you send, when your brother or uncle or nephew or son, when they go out there, working in a high-risk environment, what we profiting from that? Right now, as things stand, nobody not sure as to what are their rights as a worker offshore now because they give up their rights. But UCESL, we come to introduce your rights because we understand how hard it is being out there for 14 days, 28 days. We understand that. This company wasn't built for profit because I can remember having a discussion myself, Carvalho, and somebody else, and they asked us, what kind of salary all will set? And we give them the figure that was just like, something wrong to all there. But when you start something for the basis of profit, but to make a change, the last thing you will study is money, is profit. Once you're doing something from your heart, and you know people could profit from it, the last thing you will study is money. If you go into something first looking for money, you will fail. Sure.
Yeah. I saw.
Our plan in UCESL is to restructure the thinking, the mindset of the citizen. I'm not just talking about people who work offshore, but as a country. Stop telling yourself, the country hard, so I had to eat little and live long, I had to survive. No, life is not based on living, working is not based on surviving. It's about living. I don't know what is people's definition of surviving. I want to survive. No, I ain't come here to work hard. I never came in the oil field to survive. I came in the oil field to live. because the resources is here. So when you hear things like people working month-to-month contract, you can't get a job letter, you can't get a pay slip. I bear witness of a friend of mine's calling and asking for his pay slip. He asked twice. The guy tell him, ask for it, ask for it one more time. And you see what will happen. He has to humble himself and hang up the phone. That's what the oil field reached to. And if people want to sit down here and say, well, I mean, I had to take the little. How you know what you're getting is what you're rightfully supposed to get? Whoever see a contract, whoever see an agreement between the labor provider and the client, whoever see that. I had people defend a company, a former company I used to work with, and say, the company has no money. How you know that? Are you an accountant? Did I send you to the bank? You just sign the check? How you know that? But we just fall fast for a sad story. We have to fall fast for sad stories. Because while we're falling for the sad story, the people who giving us the sad story living nice. Like a man owing you money and you see them driving the car, he change rim all kind of thing, I tell him, boy, pressure boy. Things real hard. But he always going out, he always doing this. Sad stories and you falling for it. But he living his life. We want to introduce this company not only to Mayaro and environs, but we're hoping that here will be the beginning of a change. This company is 40 people. Because where we can carry this, if God decide to take us today. I had conversation with businessmen. And I could recall asking one, I said, what you came into business for? He said, to provide for my family. I let him talk. A lot of people might take in that and say, yeah, I come to provide for my family. No. When God put you on the face of the earth, that was your obligation from the time you make a child. You have to do that. Whether he is a millionaire or not, you have to do that. That is your right. Take care of your family. When the question was asked to me, I said, to build a brand, I say, and for someday, probably years down the road, I say for people to say, thank God for Donnie. Not thank God for UCESL, but thank God that he gave me that vision. He raised up a young man. If I sound like a preacher and I humbly apologize, but I have to bring the message across. And during that conversation, he got to understand my morals and my values. Because I made mention, I say Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Nelson Mandela. I say, how rich were they? I say, but you will always remember them. I say, you could have $40 million in the bank, nobody will remember you. I say, oh, what they remember about you will not be good. He started to watch me, he was uncomfortable. Because a young man telling him that, because businessmen feel they knows it all. And we just fall for half the nonsense that they just talk, and that before you blink, they're in court. Because they do something out of the confidence of nonsense, with the confidence of nonsense, and then it land them in court, we have to pay money and stuff. So ask me, I heard it all. I see a lot. I was part of a lot. How much march for change? How much conversation you have with people trying to, reinvent the mindset, trying to reprogram them, reset them. But unless there's a change in what you're trying to tell somebody, it's hard for them to grasp to what you're saying. So now if I talk to anybody and tell them about the company, they will listen because they see the company exists. They see what the company stands for. They see it's not a set of fellas that come together, pick up people's resume, and say, yeah, we're going to get this contract and we're going to get that contract. I don't know if people used to pick up resumes to sell it. I don't know if it was a business. I don't know, because at a point in time, that was the trend. Drop resume here, drop resume there. But I thank God that we could be here today to introduce this company. It's a privilege for me to be here, to be able to speak, to be able to get the support. And I'm hoping that we can all come together. Mellows from up here. If we stand by what we say we'll do, I don't know where Mellow live in. I don't know where Mellow live in. But what I could put my neck on a block for, it may not happen today or tomorrow, but we will do what we say we will do. And once the people of Meyaru and environs support this company, take a chance, take a leap of faith. You hear what the words say about faith, the substance of things, hope for the evidence of things not seen. You ain't see it yet, but you're believing in it. You're believing in it.
Amen. Amen, brother.
So I hope today, with us being here, UCESL team being here, taking the time, working hard for over a year. The 11th will make it a year of the company being in existence. A lot of people thought it was a myth because they wasn't seeing anything. But what we does, we move with precision. We ain't rushing things. When you rush things, you know what they say, when you rush, you get dabbed. We ain't rushing things. We taking time, we taking our time, and we hoping and believing that this company will be the change. So on that note, I'll say thank you for giving me an air. I'm open for questions. Anybody want to pose any questions?
Are you ready?
I'll try my best to listen.
Are you ready?
If I don't have the information, I'll call on one of the directors to help assist me in answering the question, because we want to leave here with everybody having clarity.
Nice. Melo had given me I looked at your mission statement it was, and it says something about people, how and environment. How much difference people to an environment towards the company? Which is best, people or environment?
People help impact the environment. And we mention people and the environment because it is one. We put that there because of the fact sometimes companies will come, they'll take the human resource and neglect the community. I've seen it. When you watch the football ground, when you watch the play park, 9 out of 10 times is a councillor who will be fighting for a play park after a company come and take the resources, the human resources, get themselves rich, buy yacht, buy this, buy that, send the children to the fancy school and neglect the community. And in so saying, it's because there's a breakdown in the community. I can remember growing up, when August holidays come, there were so many things to do. Now sometimes when you watch places where you're not sending your children there to play, but you might see a sign with a particular company, but they maintain it, just put up that, it costs them that we just say 20,000 to go on the way. Yeah, we do. But what about development? What about education? What about that parent, that mother who is a single parent? She works in CPEP, trying her best to send a child to university. People just forget that. People just forget things like that. And hence the reason why we mention community and people. People help build a community.
I have some other questions.
Of course.
Well, you know what happened, huh? I wish I could have gotten myself to what they can hear now. Because I've been through this same, everybody come in and they want to open a community, they want to open a company, and they want to have people, they want resume, they want this. If all your nice stuff, and I say nice stuff, but trust me son, it's some real good. On my heart, it's some real good. Kudos to you, honestly. But how real is this company? I mean, how good will it benefit the people of the community in the area? How much how much would you really get from this contract? I'm 61. I'm talking about one and this one and that one and that one. What would really be the real thing? And after you as the director, the company get a big contract and they want to talk to you, but you have people like Melo working or some other small person, and here them now. Now you can't see the boss now. How would that be? How would that happen? It's like how you come here now and everybody's seeing you, and we want to see you now, but you somewhere, but you have people working now. How would that happen?
We have to understand, when you are part of something, not all the time it has to be available. We have to understand that. Because many times I used to like go for meetings, show up for a meeting, and unfortunately the person who we want to meet, we cannot meet them. But we will try our best, because people will come in and drop their resume. And if they want to see me, we sit down, we talk. And I'm not just doing that because I want your support. I'm doing that because that is who I am. People that say, hey, I like to talk. But things and time will tell, so we'll see how things go from that time.
Anybody else want to? No, now? I'm going to answer next question. Because, what has happened, honestly, as I said here, I'm 61. I've been through Cameroon, I've been through laying up all these contractors. Everybody just come in and they're giving this kind of nice, I'm telling you, nice presentation, Papa. Nice talk. But at the end of the day, what does the workers really, or how do the workers really look for the best? What will be like educational plan, medical thing, and then how would that happen?
Well, as a new company, we don't have the blueprint of the future, but as time goes by, we can understand what the people want and try our best to facilitate what the people want. So to make promises, we're not making no promises that we cannot keep, but we will try our best to do different.
From heart, all the best.
All right.
Yeah?
Come on, ask for something, man.
I'm afraid.
Nothing?
You see? Is that alone answer question?
All right, well, I thank you guys for hearing me, and I'll pass it on to the chair. All right?
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Let's have a bigger round of applause. And it's not that there is no more questions. It's that I know that we are just putting them together, that will come at the end. So just to touch back a little bit of what was just said to us, is that this company intends to operate in terms of a partnership with the workers. This company intends to operate whereby persons would know what they are working for, what is going to be given, what is to be expected, and what you are entitled to prior to going to work. So that it's a partnering whereby your importance in this organization would be paramount. However, I would just like to touch back to things that actually happened within our community. There were different work issues, I will not name them specifically, whereby workers got together to talk about the issues and to talk about a way forward. They met at 6 p.m. and their meeting had ended at 6:45, and at 6:46, the employer, the contractor employing the workers, were informed of every single thing that was said in that meeting. On one occasion, executive of the employer put the phone on speaker, and immediately I made out the voice of the person reporting on the panchayat. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that situation came about because why? You were not a partner to the organization that you were working with. You were not aware, and as you have heard what Mr. Thomas had indicated, persons working, and if you ask for a pay slip, or you don't even know. So this week you are working for X rate, and next week you hear, well, you got to hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about valuing one's self, and as I indicated before, to work is a right, not a privilege. So now, this is a time I would ask that each and everyone really take in what is about to be said. Our first speaker, Director Caraballo, indicated what took place in Trinidad and Tobago in 1937. And the chief servant of that time, number one word was organize. Organize. And today, this is a step in that direction of the people of this community, and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago, to organize. So, without any further ado, I wish to bring to the podium none other than the research officer of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union in the person of Comrade Ozzy Warwick.
Chairman of this very important forum, Comrade, I call you Comrade, Wendell Perez, Director Conrad Cabajalos, another Comrade, Managing Director Comrade Donnie Thomas, and another Director, Comrade Kalisha Fortune. It's always so interesting when you have director and comrade in the same phrase. But I feel good this afternoon to say comrades. Brothers and sisters, comrades, all good afternoon. Brothers and sisters of Mayaro, comrades, all good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is a good afternoon in this wonderful part of Trinidad and Tobago. And I want to say that it is indeed a pleasure and an honor for me to be here with you in Mayaro. In fact, when I was outside, a comrade passed and he said, comrade, be careful when you fall asleep, the breeze is so nice. And I said, nah, don't worry, I'm standing up. And then I put God out my thought and I went and I sit down on the bench. And it's pressure. The breeze really amazing here in Mayaro. It's an amazing part of Trinidad and Tobago, and it is something we should all feel proud of. It's also an amazing part of Trinidad and Tobago because right out there is a resource that multinationals from all over the world want to get their hands on. But it is a resource that belongs not to them, but to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And we must never ever forget that the oil and gas belongs to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And the oil and gas that is found in this part of the country should benefit the people of this community. I want to say that it is a good afternoon because I really want to congratulate these comrades for taking a bold step. Because the UCSL, United Consistency Energy Service Limited, was born out of a reality that the oil and gas sector was becoming a wild, wild west town, where multinationals, drilling company, and other labor supply contractors feel that they could do what they want with who they want so that they can benefit, and we don't. The comrade mentioned the others that are owned by people who are not from that field. And it always makes a difference when you have a company that is owned by the workers themselves who know what it is to work out there. And we need to congratulate the United Consistency Energy Service Company Limited. And I will ask the members in their white t-shirts to please stand. Let us recognize you. Stand. Stand, stand. I think it is important because it sends a signal. It sends an important signal. It sends a signal to those who feel that they can only gain by exploiting people, exploiting communities, and exploiting workers. And that has to change. And that is why I say that this afternoon is a very good afternoon. I'd like to recognize the men and women in blue, the blue shirt army. I am a proud member of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union because the OWTU, which was born out of sweat, blood and tears, understood that you have to fight for what is right. You have to fight for what is just. You have to fight for what is true. So I'd like to recognize the comrades of the blue shirt army. Stand, comrades. Let's recognize the comrades of the blue shirt army. And finally, I would like to recognize and congratulate all those who would have heard about the meeting, read about the meeting, and decided that I want to come here this afternoon to hear what this is about, because I believe that this is about the future of myself and the future of my children and the future of my great-grandchildren. So I would like to congratulate the community members, the community of Mayaro who came out here this afternoon to hear about that. So I'd like all those from Mayaro who came here to please stand and let us all recognize you. Brothers and sisters, we are about to start something different. I dare say we are about to start a revolution. Here's why. Those companies, you have the multinational, and their model has changed. They've decided long time ago, they used to hire workers directly, whether it's BP, Shell, or whoever, they will hire. So you are now an employee of those companies. They decided now, they'll change the model. So they decided they will take their capital, subcontract to a drilling company. But then they went even further. Then the drilling company would then subcontract a labor supply contractor. And then the labor supply contractor is the one who hire workers. So them quite up there in the sky, sucking, extracting, gaining. And we on the ground now have to fight up with a labor supply contractor who decided he wants to squeeze as much as he can get for himself at the expense of the community and the expense of workers. And I am not saying this because it's theoretical or abstract. Let me just share with you what the type of matters that the OWTU does have to deal with these labor supply contractors, which is why we are so happy to see that we have something that is new on the scene that is about to change the dynamics. You work hard. They say a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. You put in your fair day's work. And here's what, you're not even getting a fair day's pay. You're not even getting paid on time. You imagine you work, you spend your 28 days, you come back and you have to now fight and beg them to get your pay. We have matters in court for that. Poor health and safety, they don't care about your health, they don't care about your safety. And in fact, when a group of workers with one of those subcontractors, with one of those labor supply contractors, took action because of health and safety, because you out on a rig out there, it's not like you could walk off the rig and walk to the nearest health center. You out there, if something go wrong, you could, and you're away from your family, and those workers took a stand, and they fire them, and then there's a real ring-down battle for these workers to get their just due. They victimize workers. And then when they sever or a project comes to an end, you're supposed to get your severance payment. Do you have any ideas how many matters we have in court right now for non-payment of severance? So when they sever you, they really sever you, bust your throat, send you on your way. They don't care. Poor safety, transport to the heliport. They don't care how you get there. Inferior terms and conditions. Imagine you putting your life at risk. You are away from your family. You are generating all this wealth for the multinational, the drilling company, and the labor supply contractor. You can't get vacation leave. You can't get sick leave. Don't get pregnant, God forbid. You're not getting no maternity leave. You can't get overtime rate of pay. You can't get any of the allowances. Nothing. And here's what they try to tell you and convince you. That the contract that you're signing is a contract for service. Now I'll explain the difference and pay very careful attention. Because they want to say that you don't work for them. You are now, as an individual, like a subcontractor. So they don't have to pay you any benefits at all. You're like your own little mini company. That is rubbish. That is absolute rubbish. There is enough cases, one by this union and one even internationally, that says you have a contract of service, and therefore you as a worker should get the benefits derived from that contract. I want to see what they're going to do, because they like to bring in plenty expats, right? Work that our people can do. Set of expats proliferating out there. I have no idea what the Ministry of National Security and Labor is. So I want to see what they're going to do now with coronavirus. Because I don't think anybody will want any expat in this period here coming in. So maybe they'll be forced to take our indigenous workers. I thought I'd share this with you so that you have a greater appreciation for what your rights are as a human being. As a human being. And they see this thing called dignity, where you have companies coming in and treating you without dignity. I mean, I listened to these stories by both Cavalos and Donny. And this idea that a half a bread and a half, listen, you give them a chance, you get no bread at all. So how you gonna accept 3/4 bread, then next time half a bread, then next time quarter bread, then next time 1/8 bread? They are taking us back to the dark ages. They are taking us back to the plantation. That is their intention. And we must never, at this point of time in our history, in 2020, let them know where to get off. Because we have to face the fact that as proud Trinbagonians, we have a great contribution to make to build this country. We've done it before, and we are here to do it again. But you must show us respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Respect me. And don't treat me as though I'm a second-class citizen. And the only way we can do that is if we organize, mobilize, build our consciousness, look out for our brothers and sisters, and don't get caught up by these high flyers who will come in here, who never work in the field and want to chain us up and divide us. No. And that's why I like the name, is here the first name of the company, United. United. Comrades, all brothers and sisters, I don't want to be too long, but I just wanted to share with you that we are at the beginning of a great possibility. Yes, things change, but sometimes change can get worse. And it is up to us to ensure that we make the change to make it better. They do not care about our destiny. We have to care about our own destiny. We have to be able to say to ourselves that we have come a long way. Our ancestors, our foreparents have come a long way. They have fought a good fight to make this place a comfortable place, and we cannot let anybody take that away from us. We have to rally behind those who want to make a difference, those who come from the bowels itself. We have that opportunity, and we must never let that go. We cannot afford to let it go. If we do, if we lose this opportunity, then we have a lot of questions to answer to our parents, to our children, and our grandchildren. I would like to thank you all once again, and I would like to ask you to stand together as a community, to stand together as a people. The resources belong to all of us, not just a few. Not just a few. Every one of us deserves to benefit from the bounty that is in this God-blessed land. I thank you as we go forward ever and backward ever. Forward ever and backward never. Forward ever and backward never. Thank you, Mayor.
Let's do it again. A better round of applause. And one of the points made by Comrade Elsie, in terms of raising that consciousness, I would like to just ask him to inform all gathered here in terms of the radio program, time and station. Monday, 1:35 on I-95.5, Take a Stand. Comrades all, everyone who is here, tune in your radio to I-95 Mondays in terms of Take a Stand. I'd like to now acknowledge now present Comrade Abdullah, who is coming in at that table. Your questions, we have not forgotten or have not stopped in terms of after our featured speaker, we'll be taking those questions. However, because it's been recorded, we'd like you to introduce yourself before asking your question so that it can be tabled. So without any further ado, on this great occasion as we have expounded so far this afternoon, I'd like to now bring immediately to the podium leader of the Movement for Social Justice, former Secretary of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, an advocate in all areas of struggle for the ordinary man. Ladies and gentlemen, with a lusty round of applause, I'd like to bring to the podium Comrade David Abdullah.
Thank you very much, Comrade Perez, all members of the head table, First Vice President, Treasurer of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union, Trustee and Chief Education Research Officer. Comrades all, a very good afternoon. My apologies for being late. So I'm glad that I got here just in time to speak, but my apologies for being late and for therefore missing the first part of the meeting and perhaps for keeping you waiting. We're in a critical situation in Trinidad and Tobago. And in my view, one of the most important failures that we have is the failure of leadership in the country. And I want to begin with the coronavirus and then talk about what is happening offshore and what is happening generally in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the coronavirus, and I'm not a medical person, so I'm getting into the medical thing and so on, but all of us seeing it in the media, social media, following the news and so on, I want to focus on the fact that up to now, as far as I'm aware, and Commodore could correct me, there have been no discussions with the trade union movement and government and employers about the coronavirus. Now, that is a failure of the leadership of the government, because it was reported that the Minister of Trade is going to meet with the employers, TTMA, Chamber of Commerce, AmCham, and so on. But how can you meet with the employers when the majority of people at a workplace are the workers and you're not meeting with the trade unions and labor that represent the majority of the people at the workplace? Because you see, in the United States and elsewhere, big companies are telling their employees, stay home and work from home. That is the big thing now, stay home and work from home. But how many employers in Trinidad and Tobago, let me put it the other way around. How many workers in Trinidad and Tobago can work from home? Very, very few. The vast majority of workers in this country have to go to work, to the workplace. And therefore, how does the outbreak of coronavirus, because it's a matter of when, not if, how this thing is spreading fast and so on, when it comes here, how are we going to deal with the workplace situation? The government has been silent on that. You haven't heard from the Minister of Labour, Minister of Finance, nobody has been speaking about what happens at the workplace. And if we take that offshore, offshore is like one of those cruise ships where if you get it, like you know when you get the people in Japan or the something diamond, something cruise ship, when they got it on that cruise ship, everybody on that cruise ship got forced to stay on the cruise ship for weeks. So who didn't have it, get it, because it's circulating through the AC and everything else. So what happens if somebody gets flu-like symptoms offshore on the platform? What is the protocol for that? Minister of Health says, we have all the protocols in place, everything in place. What is your arrangement for that? They're going to get a chopper to bring that person offshore. What happened to everybody else? Everybody going to be quarantined? When the shift changes, who is going to go out? How are people coming in? And so on. No discussions about those very fundamental issues. So that is one example of how there's a failure of leadership in the country around coronavirus. Then a second thing is, and I'm not going to now deal with, if you get it, where you should go. Should you go to your private doctor? You go to the health center? You go to the Mayaro Hospital? And so on. I put it in inverted commas, Mayaro Hospital. And then you're in a room like a waiting room, and 40 people in the room coughing and sneezing because they have the flu, but only one person might actually have the coronavirus. But that one person could then spread it to the other 39 who are waiting in the room. Nothing is being put in place, nothing is being explained to people as to how that is going to be dealt with. But the economy is in trouble. We know about oil and gas. So the price of oil is $40-something a barrel. Price of gas is I don't know, I didn't check the last price, but $1.80-something, $1.80-something cents, and so on. Ammonia price is down, methanol price is down. So our foreign exchange earnings are down. But we have a foreign exchange shortage in the country. So the government needs to have a national discussion. That's not now the government's fault. I'm blaming the government for the price of oil being where it is. But the fact is, it is what it is. So they should have a national discussion about what are the implications of this coronavirus to the economy of Trinidad and Tobago, to foreign exchange. What about businesses that import items from China or from South Korea or from Japan, where a lot of manufacturing industry has shut down, other things have gone down in terms of output because you have to have people staying at home and so on and so on. What is the implication of that for higher prices? Because if you have high demand and supply is low, prices will go up. What is the implication of that for prices here in Trinidad and Tobago? And then, if businesses are not doing as well in Trinidad and Tobago, because they can't get foreign exchange and so on and so on, what is going to happen to the workers they employ? Will they send workers home part day, so people now get part pay, or people get retrenched? And how are people going to live? Workers going to live where you have less money coming in because you're working part-time or because you're being sent home. In a situation where for the last 6 to 8 years, most workers have not had any wage or salary increase in the last 6 to 8 years. But prices have gone up in the last 6 to 8 years. So what is going to happen to ordinary working people in these circumstances? No discussion is taking place around these issues, which are fundamental. And then what about government revenue? Government revenue will fall with lower gas prices, oil prices, other ammonia, methanol. Government revenue will fall. So how is government going to meet its fiscal commitments of its budget if its revenue situation has been made worse as a result of this coronavirus? What is the government saying about its revenue? And therefore, are they going to cut back? Or is the election year, they're going to spend more, and therefore they're going to borrow more and put the country in debt, which means that you and I and children to come will have more money to pay back over there. So all of these things we need to discuss. But that is what serious leadership does in the country, which is why I'm saying we have an absence of serious leadership. Because you see, sisters and brothers, comrades, there is a struggle going on in Trinidad and Tobago and in the world about what kind of society we're supposed to have. I'm linking that now to what is happening offshore. Because on the one hand, the owners and managers of big capital, big business, want to have a society where they could maximize their profits at the expense of labor. How do they do that? They don't want trade unions, because trade unions will negotiate for higher wages, better terms and conditions of work, job security, and so on. They want to have workers working on the basis of short-term contracts, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year contracts, and so on, with no job security, with no benefits whatsoever, no medical plan, no pension plan, right? No kinds of benefits. Because when you do that, you depress the price of labor. And if you depress the price of labor, profits will go up. And so there are those who want that kind of society in today's world. And so that is why you have labor supply contracts in 2020, the start of the third decade of the 21st century. Labor supply contracts have become more of a norm than the exception. When I first joined the ODBTU in 1977 as an education research officer, 1977, Comrade Wheeler's father probably was working Skinner at that time. I used to tell you how far back we had to go. There was a commission of inquiry into contract labor. It was chaired by Dr. Zain Henry. One Shafiq Sultan Khan, who pops up, you might see him in the papers from time to time, on some board or some advisor. I think he was working with Petrotrin for the closure of Petrotrin, yes? So he pops up, get his big work, make millions of dollars to send people home. That's the last work he get, send people home at Petrotrin. So Shafiq Sultan Khan was on that commission of inquiry. That commission of inquiry reported, I think, before I joined the union, that report had come out. So that is now 45 years ago. And in that commission of inquiry report on contract labor, they said that labor supply contracts are just one step above slavery and indenture. That was what was written in 1975. 45 years afterwards, we have more labor supply contracts than 45 years ago. So, instead of going forward, we have been going backwards. We'll be going backwards. And it is this type of situation that workers are going to have to say, at some point in time, enough is enough. Because if you're one step above slavery and indenture with labor supply contracts, there's only one way for you to go, you know, and that is up. Either that or you're going back to slavery in chains. So some people want that kind of society. The Robert Rileys of this world, BP, they like that. Which is why when they closed down Petrotrade and sent home all the workers, Robert Riley pops up as an advisor for the whole in Petrotrade, advising on what to do. Next thing you know, Robert Riley is advising down in Heritage and so on. And who they have running, well, it used to be Lisa, I don't know if she's still there. She left, but she was there for the first period, right? Who came from where? BP. A fellow called Campbell. Arlene Shaw, right. Ex-BP too, not so? Yes, that's all of it. Ex-BP. You have a fellow called Campbell, who is, I think, the finance man. Ex-BP. So it's a BP model that they decide to put in place when they close down Petrotrade and send home all the workers. Because I didn't want an oilfield workers trade union in the oil industry at all. They keep OWTU out offshore, and now get OWTU out on land and off the west coast in Trinidad, in the Gulf. So you have a BP model where Heritage now has very few workers and the rest of people are employed with labor supply contracts. At 1/3, they come at Benny, about 1/3 of what people used to work for in the oil is what people now getting paid down there with no benefits. No medical, no pension, no vacation. I understand that when fellows first went to work for those labor supply contractors, they had to work with their own PPE and all. Company didn't even supply them with PPE. They had to work with their own. That's how bad things were. Gone backwards. So we have to look at the whole forest. We have to see the trees, but we have to see the whole forest. And what is that whole forest? That whole forest is a society where you don't have trade unions, or very few, or weak trade unions, and therefore labor workers are exploited to the max, and BP and they can make their profits. And you know, 1977, when I started working with you, we had Texaco down in Guaya, Texaco in Guaya, Barrapaw in Pointe-à-Pierre Forest Reserve. That was Texaco. And we fought to get a national oil company, the union fought for that. They had BP in Trinidad in the 60s, 50s and 60s. BP was here. And BP left Trinidad because they were making money in the North Sea. So they left Trinidad because the oil production in BP fields, which would have been Santa Flora and so on, oil production was low. So BP left. Shell was here. Up until 74, Shell was here. Shell owned the refinery in Point Forte, and Shell owned some producing fields in Penal and in Point and some other places like that. Catskill and so on, that would have been Shell in those days. Shell left here too because they didn't need Trinidad anymore. You know what? Shell is back here big time. BP is back here big time. As a result of 1970, 50th anniversary of the start of the Black Power movement was last week Wednesday, 26th of February, Ash Wednesday. Royal Bank of Canada was here. Then we bought it over as Nationals wasn't state-owned, but Nationals bought it out, it became RBTT. Royal Bank back here again. Yes? And then we had only one nationally owned insurance company, Clico, in 1970. All the other insurance companies were Canadian. Sun Life, some other insurance company. One of them got bought out by Maritime, locally owned and so on. And then, you know what? Sagicor has just bought out Clico, yes, with this government's agreement. But who just bought out Sagicor? Because Sagicor was a regionally owned company. Who just bought out Sagicor? A Canadian company. So our insurance industry gone back to the Canadians. Banking started to go back to them as well. Oil gone back to the people. So what we gained as a result of 1970 and the struggles of the OWTU for national ownership, for getting workers unionized, for decent work for people, so that workers would have job security, and if you have job security, you could go to the bank and you could borrow money so you could build a house to shelter you and your family, and you could plan for your family, and you could put down roots in the country and feel a sense of ownership and have a stake in this country. All of that now is being reversed. I see some young people here. If you work in contract labor supply, can't go to any bank or credit union and say, well, you want to borrow to buy a house. Can't get that because you have no job security. So how are you going to have a future? So what is going to happen? Our young people have already started to migrate. So in the 50s, you know, they had in the 50s what they call the Windrush generation, who left the Caribbean and went to England to try and make a better life. Well, now our young people want to go abroad to make a better life. But they go to Mr. Trump country and they look like you and me. Once again, if you have a name like mine, Abdullah, you're in trouble. Because those people who say, make America great again, those redneck Yankees, and all they know about the redneck Yankees offshore, not so? Because they come from the south, and they treat black people like dirt, not so? So you go up there and think you're going to make a better life up there and deal with Mr. Trump and his racism, or Boris Johnson and his racism, or anywhere else and so on. If they have that possibility again, they have that possibility again. So what kind of future and what kind of society do we want to have? I want to say that on the other hand, there are people who are fighting for a different kind of society. One where there is social justice and equity for all, equal opportunity for everybody. In the United States, that is also playing out if you're watching the Democratic primaries. Bernie Sanders trying to fight against the big capital. As soon as he starts to make an advance, everybody else gang up to bust it through. Wall Street nervous, all the business people nervous because they say we don't want Sanders at all because they're going to tax us too much, and so on. Yes, BPNA must pay more taxes, and Answer Macau and the banks and the billionaires must pay more taxes. There was a story about 2 years ago with the CEO of UCESLtd, majority state-owned company. His name is Ronald Walcott. Now this is in the papers there, so I ain't talking anybody, I'll just tell you the facts. Ronald Walcott getting about $100,000. I think it's more than that. I think it's more than $100,000. 140. Thank you, Covered. $140,000 a month. Plus he get perks. You get a company car, get entertainment allowance, and so on and so on. So let me say his cash money coming in, can get entertainment and so on, $150,000 a month. Now, minimum wage worker, after the increase in December, minimum wage worker is getting $3,033 a month, right? $3,033 a month. So that minimum wage worker then, right? 12 months, call that $36,000. Then round it up to $40,000. In 1 year, the minimum wage worker gets $40,000. But in 1 month, Ronald Walcott getting $150,000. Right? And if you add his company car and his cell phone and so on, his real worth is probably about $160,000. So we'll take a minimum wage worker 4 years, 40,000 by 4, to get what Ronald Walcott getting in 1 month. That is the inequality that's taking place in this country today. And Ronald Walcott is not the highest paid CEO in the country. I share that the Scottish woman, Fitzpatrick, from BP, I share she must be getting about 3 times what Ronald Walcott getting, because she had to be paid in pounds, because she come from Scotland. She had to be paid in pounds. So I share she getting plenty more than Ronald Walcott. So we have this thing of inequality. That minimum wage worker working for a security company, working 12 hours a day, yes, single mother, maybe not paid overtime beyond the first 8, but they pay them straight time, which is illegal, but they pay them straight time. 12 hours a day. So she had to reach the work for 6 o'clock in the morning. She have children, little children. So she get up about 3 o'clock in the morning, prepare a little breakfast for the children, maybe something for the lunch kit and so on. And then she had to leave work 4:30, 4:45 to reach the work for 6 o'clock. She ain't seen the children. When she leave work 6 o'clock, hustling transport, she can reach home maybe 7:30 in the night. By that time, she's tired. She can't deal with the children home lesson. She don't know what the children did when they reach home 3:30 in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If the little boy end up on the block with the bad boy with the guns, being influenced by them, she don't know that. When she come home, she was answered 2, 3 questions, and then she was end up having to take her 5 to get back up 3:30 in the morning for the cycle to go on, and she does work 6 days a week. How are those children going to have the same education opportunities as the CEOs who make sure the children get picked up from school, drop back, have money to send them to extra lessons, have them go in dance class and this class and that class and so on and so on and so on, could pay for the private school and the best schools, have the contacts to call the principal to get into the best secondary school even if the child didn't do good in SCA. So the little child now of the single parent who is the security guard might have done better in SCA, but can't get into the so-called prestige schools. So what kind of society we have? And then when that little child ends up being frustrated because the child bright, but they're frustrated, where they're going to end up? In a gang. And then we will want to get on bad with the child who end up in the gang. Some things are going on in this country, sisters and brothers, comrades. A type of society is being created, and we have to say no to that. The majority of the people in this country have to say no to that, because the majority of people are being affected negatively and adversely by what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. I have to mash some calls now. Because you see, I've been around for a long time. Tell you I joined the union in 77. 76 I contest elections, parliamentary elections for Tunapuna. I turned 22 in the election campaign. I got 2,700 and something votes. Bertie Fraser was the PNM, he won, Padman Bertie Fraser. About a year after, Bertie Fraser went Canada, never came back, never represented the people of Tunapuna. Lloyd Best for Tapia, Lloyd lost his deposit. He was vexed because Lloyd was my teacher at UE in economics, and Lloyd was vexed that his student beat him in the elections. But he and I became close after that. So, I around a long time, I know the politics, been in it. I've written, as a Chief Education Research Officer, endless memoranda to the government. No to privatization of tech, memoranda for oil industry, all kind of things. Budget memoranda, budget proposals. Up to the other day I was on the Economic Development Advisory Board. Did many things like that. I was on Vision 2020. I chaired the Labour and Security Subcommittee of Vision 2020. None of the things that have been proposed by Labour have come to pass, have become reality. Labour legislation. I remember recommendations we made in 1987 to the NER government on the reform of the Industrial Relations Act, so it could be easier for workers to join a trade union of their choice. That memorandum, I'm sure you have a copy of that a big memorandum. We wrote about lots of things, including the oil industry and so on, in that memorandum. 1987, how long ago is that? 33 years? 87 to now is 33 years. Yes? And the IRA has not been amended in those 33 years. Government come, government go, they do a damn thing. Why? Because the way in which the labor laws are suit the interests of business and capital and are not in the interests of workers and unions. We wanted to change how the recognition process is done. If the recognition process was fair and easy and simple for workers to join a trade union of their choice, then since 1970-something, OWTU would have represented Amoco workers. OWTU made 2 claims, recognition claims for Amoco, and both times the recognition board operated in the interest of Amoco. I have no evidence, but I believe money passed to keep OWTU out. I believe that. Nobody can tell me what I must believe. I can't call no name because I have no evidence, but I feel money passed. So, I remember the first one. We had about 65% of the workers of Amoco. In those days, Amoco had a fairly big workforce, about 500-600 people. And we had 65%. And you know the recognition, what happened? About 40 workers, or 30 workers wrote a petition saying they never paid union dues. Somebody paid the dues for them to join. So they never paid the dues. You know what the recognition board did? The recognition board said, well, if those 30 workers said they didn't pay, there is a good likelihood that the majority didn't pay. So we strike out OWTU recognition claim. Instead of subtracting the 30 who claimed they didn't pay, subtract them from the total and then see if OWTU still had 50% plus 1, because we did. But the recognition board made what is the right word? Perverted decision to say if 30 people didn't pay, then it's likely the majority of people. So if 30 people didn't pay the light bill, or somebody else paid the light bill for them, that means everybody else gets somebody to pay the light bill for them? What kind of donkey logic is that? But that is what went on in the 70s when the first claim for Amoco. Yes? So, we want to change labor laws, Industrial Relations Act, upgrade the Health and Safety Act, Occupational Safety and Health Act, the Retrenchment and Severance Benefit Act, where if a company goes into liquidation or bankruptcy, like what happened with ArcelorMittal, workers don't get severance pay because workers' severance pay comes on the last on the list of creditors. So banks and everybody else, suppliers must get money first, workers don't get money because they are the last. All that have to change. But no government, neither PNM or UNC, prepared to change it, because they'll be there and they never change it when they have the opportunity to change it. Kamala will come and tell you nice stories now, but she had 29 seats in parliament, she had more than a 2/3 majority, she could have changed any law, and she didn't, even though it was in the manifesto, which we put as MSJ in the manifesto, and she didn't change it. PNM promised to do all kind of thing. In the agreement with JTOM before the elections, Dr. Rowley said that they're going to stop contract labor in the public service. Jennifer Baptiste Primus said so as Minister of Labor. She had a consultation on contract labor. Contract labor has not stopped in the public service, it's gotten worse in the last 4 years. They don't want to change it. Why? Because the people who finance the parties are the same big business people who want to keep workers exploited and oppressed with low wages. So we have to decide, sisters and brothers, at what point in time do we want to have a different kind of Trinidad and Tobago. One where there is equality and social justice for all and a better life for all. To do that, we have to challenge the status quo. Because, trust me, if we keep going around and around this mulberry bush that we've been doing for the last 30, 40 years, this merry-go-round, that spinning top in mud, all you do in that mud hole getting deeper and deeper, we're sinking deeper and deeper into the mud. And when we sink deeper and deeper, you know who at the bottom? We are the bottom, workers at the bottom. So as we sinking deeper, the mud covering us first, you know. Though Fitzpatrick and all the big shots and the Answer McCalls and they're getting covered by the mud, you know. They go and fly out, they have their bank account and live their property and wealth abroad. So they go sink into the mud. They're standing on our shoulders as we sinking into the mud. But we helping them. And we shooting ourselves in the foot because we causing the thing to go round and round like that. So at what point in time do we say enough is enough? We have to change the laws. We have to change the laws. But who changes the law? Parliament changes the law. Who in Parliament? People who don't want to change the law. So if we want to change the law, we have to change the people in the Parliament. So we get people in the Parliament who are prepared to change the law and change the way in which the economic system organizes so that the wealth can come to us and not keep going to the 1 or 5% at the top. That is the lesson that I want to leave here this afternoon. If we want to change the law, if we want to change the system, because the system is not working for us, then we have to change the people who are running the system, who are managing the system, who are making the laws, and put people in charge with vision, who are prepared and willing and committed and able to change the system and change the laws and bring about social justice, equity, and a better life for all. Thank you very much.
Again, brothers and sisters, let's have a better round of applause for Comrade Abdullah. At this time, now after the session, there will be some light opportunities for the members of this community to now pose questions to our esteemed head table on all that has been deliberated here today, all the information that has been shared, so that you can pose questions. However, we would like that to be done in a very orderly and mindful of the words of the education officer prior in terms of respect. And we'd like that you state your name, and even better, if you can come to the podium so that all gathered here will be able to hear your questions before we get the responses to your questions. So now I'd like to open the floor for questions from members.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, members of the head table. My name is Kian Gibson. I've lived in Mayaro all 22 years of my life. I believe what is said here to us, to me, is very hopeful that something can bring about change. I would like to ask that question, but I want to say this. I speak to a lot of people today. This is the social revolution. I spoke to a friend of mine in Germany. He put forth to me a story, right? He said, there's a hunter that goes to hunting to hunt wolves. He said, he puts the blade in the ice, he puts blood on it. The wolf comes, licks the blade, right? But then licking the blade, he cuts his tongue, puts more blood on the blade. And he's going to keep on doing that until he kills himself. That's what I see going on here with these so-called employers. They're trying to get us to kill ourselves, not physically, but mentally. Then it's going to go emotionally, spiritually. Eventually, as they said, go back into slavery. People, a lot of us here saw the movie The Matrix. Don't take the blue pill. I want to see my young brothers and sisters that here today, that I know I went to school with, highly educated, highly trained young men and women, being guided by the generations that came before us. My question is a simple one. It pertains mostly to the young people that see so much pressure to come into the oil industry, right? Other contractors asked for, they said, well, you have work experience? No, you don't have work experience, but where is the guidance to train us, to show us the way that is proper, right? And give us the push to say, hey, this is right and this is wrong. I believe the gentlemen here, from what I saw and understand, intend to help us do that. Right? I'm not affiliated with them. Right? I just believe that something had to change. Stop taking the pill. These multinational people are not here for us. Understand me? That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Who are the table please address this concern? You have the captain of the team addressing your concern.
Well, I will take that information, passing out with my knowledge, because up to yesterday, we were sorting out some resumes that were brought in, to the company. And part of the discussion in receiving those resumes were how we're going to structure crews. Because when I started offshore, I didn't start to know Gali or anything. The guys and them who were lobbying for me to start to work offshore said, I'm starting to ask about. And I was happy that people could make an interjection for me. In being aware of that, what we, the company, decide to do is, on every crew, we will filter. If a crew consists of, let's just say, for example, a Rastaba crew consists of 5 persons, we filter in if it's 1 or 2, if it permits us, 1 or 2 new person. Because sometimes we must take into consideration or pay attention to some of the nonsense people that be talking. And let me be realistic as citizens. They want you with experience, but they hire you to get the experience. So now what we do, being a transparent company, we find a way to give everybody an equal opportunity. We cannot facilitate more inexperienced workers as opposed to experienced workers. But what we can do is try our best to facilitate inexperienced worker and filter them in every aspect of the company, whether it be in the office, whether it be offshore, on land, wherever, however. That is what the company will do. So that is part of our initiative to filter in, inexperienced green workers to help build things, because they may come with ideas that we wasn't even thinking about. And these young minds are very creative. So we want to give the opportunity as time goes by and we work together with the communities. We could structure ways that we could help make that a way forward and try to introduce it into companies and stuff. So I hope that clear out your question.
All right, thank you, Mr. Thomas. So as he's indicated, it's partnering, and the organization will be partnering with its employees. Next question. Coming to the podium.
Good evening, everybody. Head team, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Hollis Alexander from Yamada. I listen, everybody talk. I remember when Melvin invited me to this meeting. I said, listen, good idea, but let us see how it works. Because this is, forming a company, whether it's a year or 2 years ago, and coming to this community here, I remember sitting right here when JSL showed up for the first time. And look at the situation today. I saw Sean Rampersad show up in the resource center, and look at what's happening today. And you know, I listen to everybody here, and it's a twofold thing here this evening. And honestly speaking, this is a good forum for the people of Miaro, and especially when we have one of the most intelligent person in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. David Abdullah. You know, I sit up and say, listen, where are we going to take this thing? And we talk, the members talk about partnering with the company, with this community, which is good. But you want to partner with the community, but at least when the work will come for this company to start to employ people from this community. And that's the first thing. What I loved about one, you know, I think the gentleman was sitting here talk about the mission statement of the company. We didn't see that, right? And then, you know, the head talk about looking at the resumes of the people. For too long, I have seen thousands of people showing up in Miaro here, putting the resume. Next 2 months is the same thing. And as Mr. Caballo said, it didn't change, it ain't changing. We can do much more courses from last week to now. But what we look at, what is good? Coming to Miaro, because Miaro is basically, I will tell people, has a history. And I want to put out the challenge to the people here today, because, you know, everybody talk about the young people. Oil field work is not an easy work, and the times has changed. You know, and, you know, I don't remember, some Melvin talk about, I remember Skinner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 4 of them was operating here. And then, you know, we had a different era with the Pool Santa and the Sundance and all that kind of thing. But also, I will want to, you know, while you want to partner, where is the company based? Are you based in Port of Spain, Siparia, Penal, Tobago? So we want to make sure that we partner with a company from we're out of Miaro. And it's good to partner, because this, for Miaro to change where the energy sector is concerned, we cannot do it by ourselves. And even when we partner with the company, we have to partner with other people. Miaro has got the greatest gift for many years. Right now, and nobody touching it. And this is the second term Miaro is sitting as the Minister of Energy. And what does he really seek? His colleagues' interest as a Minister of Miaro boy in this community. We got to, you know, look at this, look at with the port, right? And you all talk about workers not getting a fair salary. And I want to tell the young people here tonight, I always tell people that, look at the salary paid in the oil field today, right? And if you're spending 14 days in a rig, right, you have to divide that by 4 to see what is really a base salary. You know, this thing is so deep that sometimes I tell my son, I really wouldn't want you to get in that oil field business, because it is challenging. What today, Mr. Abdullah talk about the price of oil today. What is happening now, residents? The price of oil is, if it is $45 a barrel now, to bring that to the surface, it costs it like $30-something. So it is some companies in this end, we cannot do it. Everybody saying yes, Guyana. But Guyana has not received nothing from that oil that will be that 14 or 15 oil field, absolutely nothing. And Mr. Abdullah talked about the coronavirus, where there's another virus next door, what all of us was looking at, that is taking place with Guyana right now, where the energy sector is concerned. But I don't want to go back to Miaro. And I want to talk to the people here. For too long, we have been fighting for oil field work. On a rig, if they want to hire 85 people, it's obvious if the rig is coming, if the owners is coming from San Fernando, they might have to hire some San Fernando people. But for too long, this community has been fragmented, fighting, this one. Sometimes in the meeting, a consultation, they want people to work on the rig. You will see nobody show up from certain organization. But at the same time, you're seeing 20 going out to work. And these are the kind of things that we're losing trust in each other, and we're fighting, and we're not benefiting as a community. You know, the young people here, I want to tell you all, if you all decide to, nobody should go to school to learn to go and work on a rig. I can tell any young person that. But you end up on a rig working. If you're working on a rig, I want to give you advice as a any young person there. learn the rig work and try to move across to a service company. If you work in around the mud pump something, definitely you take it serious. Next 3 or 4 years, you might be able to work with the Halliburton or the Tucker to cement and so many things. If you're looking at the completion properly, you might be able to work with Baker Hughes or the Halliburton. So let us see, use this forum, not really to say, well, look, we'll get a job next 2 months or next 3 months, but let us see that what we can build right now. And I am glad to see the OWT here because they play a pivotal role in the energy sector. Things are deteriorated for the last year or two with the heritage and so on and things. But they played a part because I remember in the old Miara Government School, I used to go to an evening class that was sponsored by WTU. I always tell Brother Abdullah, down in Guayagari, that building, we had given up. And, you know, I don't want to talk too long because I could give already the whole history about this. We had given up so much in this community. You know, down in Guayagari, down there, you know, my brother had to sell 200 something acres of land, you know, and we had high-low, and we had this and everything. For the energy companies to come and build all those plants, and look at now. You could hardly walk on the road from Miaro to Guayagari because it's a terrible situation. Melville talked about, you know, the energy sector, how it started. You know, and up to yesterday, I was talking to somebody in an energy company. I said, listen, you know, you all turn back so much in Miaro, and I want my good friend here to work because it was a 5 years I've been working on it. You know, for example, the first oil well, 1903 in Guayagari. If you look at the signboard now, nobody mentioned it. Look at the pilot river where the same Russ and Leland arrived here to go and drill that first well. So there's so much of stuff, you know, and we move on the whole community to make way. This is no, and I always tell people, while I will stand up and fight and talk, my great-grandchildren will be the one who will really stand up, like the people in Delta Nigeria, and fight the energy companies that the wrong they do. This morning I was talking to a gentleman of BPTT, and it is so sad that I said, so listen, we build BPTT, and what is happening now with how you had to, you know, Tucker has to go in with Baker Hughes now to get a cementing contract or company, but you know, it's not filtered between just the guys for who work in the regular. It's all over. And I remember some years ago, look at, thank God he's alive now. I was basically here to see 2 and 3 bodies on him coming from offshore because of a situation. So Miaro has been on the back burner for many years and nothing from the oil field. And what I want to see with some of the guys who say they are good rig hands, try to elevate yourself. You know, go to the school, do some extra courses, and so on. So before I leave, I want to say, you know, thanks to the team and the members who sit down here today. I know it's a long journey for some of you, but this thing cannot change overnight. Miaro deserves better than why people about BP. BP was produced for only 140,000 barrels of oil. The things have changed now, right? So let's say, you know, good luck with it, and we will keep. I hope this is not the final, because we can't partner for one day. This is not done by Moti. We ain't coming here for something short, right? Let us continue this discussion, and God bless you all. And I personally looking forward to see what you all could, what benefit you all could bring to this community. Thank you. And wait, one more before I go. What I would like to see from even the oil field, you know, like I was talking to a gentleman earlier on. We have 3, I will tell them, all oil field hands, right? Surviving in Miaro still. 2 in Ottawa, 1 in Guayagari, that's Bunter, right? He was with Skinner, and then you have Adolphus, and you have Tinta. What I would really like to see this, we do as a community, is if we could honor those guys one of these days in Miaro here. Thank you.
Now, before we move on to our addresses from the head table, we like if we could just make it a little bit short and straight. While all the information is great, we want to give everybody an opportunity to share. So So we now have a response from the head table in relation to what was put forward by Mr. Alexander.
Good afternoon again. Mr. Alexander, one of your questions was, where's the company based? Company is based 6365 Lewis Street. There's a reason for this. All the offices, the capital, the upstreamers moved their business away from Mayaro. Right? So in order to facilitate the workings of the company and have a relationship with the companies, it is easier for me to have an office in San Fernando. Easier for them to come to our office. As we go along, we will have a base up here, and we will have a base in Port of Spain. Right? Office in Port of Spain, yard in Shoguanas, right? So we could move as we want back and forth and save some time. You also asked, how do we intend to partner, UCSL intend to partner with the community? I'm from Mayaro, and I know the activities that you are in. There are a lot of people in Mayaro like you, taking the fight, taking the responsibility to take young people off the streets by getting them to do something productive. For example, there's a lady in Lewis and Sucre Street by the name of Ms. Patsy Lizama. I've seen this woman day in, day out, leading a team of young people, scout troop. Carnival time, Ms. Patsy. Sports, her daughter now is a coach of a club. And when I asked, who is sponsoring you, Ms. Patsy, the answer was, no one. This should never be in a community in Mayaro. Not when people, and it's an indictment on the ruling party also. Because here you have crime at its highest. You have people in the community trying to mentor the young people, and no one is reaching out to support them. We don't intend to do that. We will ensure that the upstreamers and all the contractors, as I said earlier, and the interest groups, we will try to get them in one room and get something done about this. Good? We intend to do it. So I hope that answers your question. And you, as I said earlier, you the people need to hold us accountable. We are not politicians, you know. We say we are partnering with you. We want to walk with you. When we walk with you, when we go up, you go up. And this is how it's supposed to be. You, the people in me, are supposed to come out and demand what is yours. Support us. Forget the big players, forget who getting this, who getting that. You walk with us. When you walk with us in unity, you will realize what these people have been holding back from you all this time. That is all I have to say on that for now.
Thank you, Mr. Carmelo. Floor continues to be open for any questions.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Head table, other special guests. I'm really impressed from the initial stage of the discussion with the company that is trying to form itself with this, getting together with the community and all the other good stuff that goes with it. I'm in 100% support. I'm asking for your support as well. Because I am a bold-faced guy. If I'm not sure of something, I'd rather tell you than to keep it secret. Old people say cat and dogs have secrets. I don't have none. I'd rather make it public. That is the only way we can move together as a team. But in doing so, I would like to just take 1 second to give you something, some part of understanding that I gave, right? It is a book come from Eric Harvey and Steve Venture. It is the future, right? On the future. I had a dream of another night. I was in the back seat of a car. You were driving. Neither of us knew where we were, heck we're going, or if the car would ever keep running. That dream pretty much sums up my view of the future here at work. At all too often, I feel like I am just along for the ride. Sure, I am doing my part. I wash the window and pump the gas. But from where I am sitting, I see the steering wheel in your hands. You may not know where you were heading any more than I do. But at least you were one driving. You were driving, the one with the most control. Like most people, I look ahead with a certain amount of fear. I fear that I will lose more than I will gain. Will I still have a job, or less or lost be able to find another one if things change? Here, will I be able and maintain and improve upon the lifestyle that I enjoy? Will there be health and happiness ahead? Will I be able to handle new technologies and ever-increasing demands? There were not telling me lots of questions, very few answers. I also look ahead with a great deal of hope that my fear will turn out to be founded, that things will ever be better than they are now. But only time and little luck and a lot of hard work will tell. What's more interesting about my dream, this is that you and I were in the same car, traveling down the same road. Wherever we go together. So I want to put back this and transform this dream and this story. Together, whether it's company, whether it's union, whether it's old, whether it's blind, whether it's strong, whether it's weak, all of us in the same vehicle. And from the point in which we are looking forward, none of us know what tomorrow will bring. But it depends on all of us to make decisions on support. Because it's reached that point where it's really needed support in Miami. You all heard it already from the top brass of what is our starvation. Nobody don't need to pay that for you, you all know that. We went through it the first time, we went through it the second time, we went through it the third time, the fourth time. And all the information that we gathered supposed to be a type of a tool that we need to use to go forward. I can remember last year, our big mission was for 2020. Here is 2020. You don't have to wait for it anymore. This is 2020. This is the era that everybody was waiting for, and we were saying this is going to happen and that is going to be, and we want to do this and we want to. I am asking one of the biggest questions to the people of Mayaro, the community. This is 2020. What it is that we want for ourselves for 2020 in the sense of development. It don't bound to be a present question to ask or to jump up and to say, yes, we want this and we want that. I think you give it a talk. And in that talk that you give, you keep it secret and keep pushing and keep pushing. Shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars. I give you my all. You shoot for the stars. Back to the executive here, right? I know you speak about the coronavirus. Last Monday gone, I raised a topic on the coronavirus, right? And you're right. You're right. I've been listening every news, every papers, every different detail. And I don't think that the government of Trinidad and Tobago has this satisfactory detail on if there is something serious beside it. What was the set of ground news that they get that this in Tobago and whatever. Last Monday I was raising to them and telling them how it's going to challenge the operations of offshore. Because if you were to bring in vessels inside there for we to work, the coronavirus is going to stand down there. And it may create a good opportunity for us because they will have to take we drillers, we tool pushers, we electricians, we whatever, it probably can open doors. But I'm not sure that it can open doors because if you quarantine of anything that has contaminants, and it quarantine, once they quarantine something that has contaminants, it needs nobody on board. Because the last 4 or 3 months we had a cruise liner that they detoured, and I tracked that cruise liner straight to where it was going. And just imagine if we have a situation in Trinidad here with the coronavirus, what could this government of Trinidad and Tobago can do in the sense of prevention? It hasn't done nothing as yet. So I'm asking that Abdullah think that when you all go on the broadcast, that you start to raise some intelligent questions to push it back to the government on trying to see how best information you could get from the public and whatever, so that we can all educate ourselves on what kind of mechanism that probably we may be able to put in place for future, in the sense of the next couple of 2 months, as I spoke in the Monday meeting. We're giving myself the next 2 months to see where we will reach with drilling rigs coming. This is my own thing. Thank you.
Before we take the responses from the head table, I'd like to continue. I'd like to recognize Brother Jack, who would like to come to the podium and ask his question. We'll take a few questions before we move to the head table's response.
Good afternoon, everyone. Two questions I come up here to ask. I would like to know how long Atlantic LNG is in Hollis. How long? And what may I get from Atlantic LNG? Supposed to it, because everything comes from the Atlantic. And a brother of mine reminded me this afternoon that when he raised that, he went to a meeting in Point, and when he asked that, the brother Abdullah, the only supposed to support him about that. So I want to know how long LNG, Atlantic LNG in Point, and what we get from that. Nothing. Now, the next thing is, why we are allowing these companies from outside that come in here, rip off everything, and now come to it. We must have contract to 3 months. 3 months. And after that, what you get? No. I would like to see something better happen about that. With this that going up, let me get rid of this company. Let me get rid of them. And we could do it. We could do it. How we could allow this ripping off for we? That's all I had to say.
Thank you. Again, before we go to the head table for responses, any more questions? Please state your name before asking your question.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, comrade. My name is Robert Bruce. Old worker from the oil industry, no Donny. We just never work together, but union together. And one of the things that I come up here to say is that in the past, under the umbrella and we strength, we had Jarvis as one of the youngest labor contractor in the oil industry at that time. And what we reached today, at that time he used to call me daddy and uncle, real respect and thing, and now it's the most disrespect to all the workers and everybody. Now this fella, Donny, I believe right now, supposed to be the youngest labor contractor in the oil industry that's coming up. And we have to give him full support with this contract that he opened, this that he trying here. And there's a fella, that he had this. And he had the distance, he could go the distance, because I can remember that the first day we talked about this was by a post me, Wheeler, and somebody else was there. And was our next brethren that come right and making a phrase, and he never really come forward to do something to the people, but he always had good ideas. He's a brilliant fellow, but he always had good ideas. And this did come up. And he was one of the youth man, and he was one of the last come in the group. This same fellow here, that come in the oil industry in the group. Right? And he said, well, look, let me do this. And he really stick to it. Today I get to see that he now come that contractor with Melo and certain things and things. The next thing is that when a youth get the opportunity to go there, now don't study nobody, rig work, you can reach anywhere. Anywhere, you can reach in any position, you can reach rig manager, you can reach owner, you can reach anywhere. It's you can start a rastable and you have to pave your way. When you go there, if the company lift the schools and get work or whatsoever, survival, and get an opportunity on the boat, make use of it and always remember the company. When you remember the company, remember your family, right? Because you will do things to enhance the company. So by enhancing the company, you're enhancing your family, right? Let me go there and just study at the land, sit down and say, look, me going on the rig floor, because me no floor man. As I was about, I get paid for that. That right now that go nowhere in the oil industry. That even working in the government. You hear what I mean? So let me motivate myself. And the question I come out here to think is, my based on the speaker and the answer is that you ever set a youth now coming out, right? That don't have training, like even basic safety. This is $7,000 to do basic safety, right? And you might have you willing to get the opportunity to go, to get opportunity to come out on the oil industry. And they do have that, right? What in place? Well, I know here, I don't want to really say true thing, but sometimes there's really bite me to it, but I'd rather hear too. I want to know what we have in place, or what we're putting in place to help you, to help people with these sports down there, right? Because that a fact that it had group telling you about pay half, right? And then a man come out to a man and work for years that don't have that capital, right? Because the cheapest course is about $7,000. And that's what really basic safety and thing. Well, I'm now getting $7,000 now to pay to start, and he ain't working. He start to work. So I want to know what we have in place and what we put in place to these courses to run. We don't want these things, no grouping, run them courses, and if they're running, we have to run it under management. Right? Something or somebody to run it, do symbol that I don't know, because I see it from my eyesight, I find like wrong here. I don't know how it is, but I see like it's a money making thing. And I talk to certain people, and they say that that thing was in place for that. So me know how to go wrong with that, or we could get around with that and move forward.
All right, thank you. At this time, we'd like to get some responses from the head table in terms of training, accessing the courses for the young persons who want to come into the sector. All right, that is the basic safety, pre-C, cert, all the different courses. Also before, as the questions that were posed, in terms of the organization reaching out, to having a greater impact in terms of when the work we started, how long Atlantic LNG has been operating with its various trains, with the gas coming out of Guayagari and going down to Point Fortin. So now I'll turn over to the head table for some responses on those questions that were posed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Brother Jack, the answer for Atlantic LNG, Comrade Abdullah will be dealing with that. Comrade Bruce, what does the company have in place for training for the youths? Because you're broken, you have no money. The part to talk about whatever program that is happening here, I've heard stories, but I have no facts, so I cannot respond to that. What I can tell you about UCSL, we know that any training for workers is borne by your employer. Good? You are going out to work for your employer. If you come with certain skill set, they will just add to it. It's a plus for you. They wouldn't pay you for those skill sets. But if they are employing you, if we are employing you, we'll be paying for your training. So, as the managing director said, we will be employing the mix, young, not so young, experienced, not so experienced, and UCSL, anybody who's hired by us and have to go on a project will be paying for your training, whatever the client say you have to get. And for most of you who don't know, that is borne by the client. That is not borne by us. We just have to do it, put our money, pay for it, and claim it back from the client. It's their job. They want that qualification. You can go out there and work without that qualification. They call for it, they have to pay for it. Thank you.
I wonder if members just heard what was said by Director Carvalho. You all heard that? Well, right, well, let's clap hard for that piece of information, that responsibility is the responsibility of the client. So now I'll ask Comrade Abdullah to come and take the other questions.
Thank you very much. Let me first apologize for, and because I dashed in and spoke right away, I should have begun by, after apologizing for coming late, I should have congratulated the directors and for organizing this particular company and for working with the community of Mayaro and others and so on to get fair employment for people and a proper return. So I want to just congratulate UCESLtd. Right? So my apologies for not doing that at the start and for thanking them for inviting me to be here and to sharing some thoughts. So that's simply saying that at the top. In terms of LNG, LNG would have started up sometime in the late 1990s. It was an initiative of the Manning government, 91 to 95, but would have started up just after Mr. Manning would have gone out of office, and then the Manning government did trains 2 and 3 from memory, and then the Manning government, when he came back in 2001, did train 4. Now that's memory, we could always double check to see if my dates are correct, but it is around that time. Let me say that Robert Riley said to me once, many, many years ago, that Amoco was planning to leave Trinidad and Tobago in the early 1990s. They wanted to leave because for Amoco, oil production had fallen from 140,000 barrels a day at peak in the 70s. It was down to 30-something thousand barrels, whatever it was, and Amoco wasn't interested in that. And they had no interest in natural gas because Amoco did not think that natural gas was a valuable product to produce. It was the government that pushed Amoco to stay in order to develop Train 1 of Atlantic LNG. And it got to the point where BP, global company BP, and Eric Williams, not first Prime Minister, but former Minister of Energy, OWQ and the Department of Economics Sustainable Development Unit, led at the time by Professor Dennis Pantin, now deceased and so on. Dennis and myself organized a conference at UE, Best Uses of Our Hydrocarbon Resources. And Eric Williams, as minister, came to speak at the opening of that conference. And he said that Trinidad and Tobago is responsible at that time for 25% of BP's global profits. What am I telling you? BP, one of the largest energy companies in the world, Trinidad and Tobago, with the offshore gas and BP's share of LNG's train 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 25% of their profits came from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes? So when BP now want to put pressure on government on price and want to retrench people and so on and talk about Trinidad and Tobago has to be competitive and all of that stuff, we have to have the balls to tell BP, when you are getting 25% of your global profits from Trinidad and Tobago, you are ripping us off. Yes? Now, out of the wealth from LNG, I don't know, Brother Jack, it's probably at the back, how much of that came to Mearo, but I would suggest it is a very small fraction that came to Mearo. And one of the issues with BP and these multinationals, as you know, is that they no longer want to deal directly with local companies. They want to go with Woods and big companies, multinational companies, because they are negotiating contracts not on a national level, but they're negotiating contracts on a global level. So BP may have a contract with Woods International globally to provide services to BP, all BP subsidiaries all over the world, and then they determine who is going to deal with them in Trinidad. And that is why even local businesses and contractors are also being put under pressure and getting cut out, because those global companies want to get as much of the business and wealth as possible. When I was on the Economic Development Advisory Board, one of the things we were looking at in terms of diversification was energy services. Because if our oil production has fallen and the whole global situation changes with shale, gas, and all that kind of thing, we have people resources, skilled people resources, which are services, which we could now be selling when the Prime Minister gone to Ghana and so on. But we should have been doing that a long time, Guyana, Suriname, wherever. But the companies in the service sector, the local energy services sector, were saying that they, although they may be big relative here, they're small compared to Halliburton and to those big companies that operate globally, Woods and whoever else. The big one that Dick Cheney and those people own, I'm trying to remember the name of that one, is Halliburton or what? Halliburton. So they're small, so that they wanted to come together and form a collaboration with a local state company like Petrotrin or NGC in order to be able to compete for contracts outside. But I know Petrotrin now, so that is off, and well, NGC may not be in a position to do that. So even our efforts at diversification to take advantage of our people resources is under pressure. And these are the things that we have to now fight for at all levels, in addition to fighting for jobs and investment and training for people in Mearo. So that the wealth from our resources could reside with the people and the communities in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Abdullah. As we said, this is the beginning of a conversation. This is not the end. You can take the contact numbers, your questions, your concerns will also always be continuously being looked at, and there will be other consultations in other areas, so it's not that we're coming to an end. However, this particular part of the session is now going to be closed, and at this time I'd like to call the captain of the team, the managing director, Mr. Thomas, to close out today's session. But however, keep in mind that the conversation continues and is ongoing, so it's nothing that your questions will not be taken or anything. So please continue to reach out, and I now hand over, and even better yet, we have the current education officer of the Oilfields Workers Trade Union to say.
Sorry, thanks. I just wanted to recognize the first Vice President and the Treasurer of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union, Comrade Ricky Benny and Comrade Chandra Singh Ramsingh, who came to be with you. Chair, if you permit me, I actually have a question. And my question is to the audience here. We are about to embark on a journey. So my question is, are you ready to take that journey with us? Yes. Are you ready to take that journey with us? Yes. Are you ready to take a leap of faith? Yes. And are we ready to make Mayaro a great village, a great part of Trinidad and Tobago? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Comrade Ozzy. But here what thing, I want to hear that yes again. I find that was real easy, and I find I hear some point men talking louder than men from here. So, are you ready? Yes. Nice.
As we conclude this afternoon proceedings, I want to thank everybody for being here today, supporting the company. So on behalf of the UCESL management team, we really appreciate the support. We look forward to doing greater things. We look forward to building. We look forward to a lot of things in the future. Before everybody step up, please check back with the guys there who collected the resumes. So probably there are some information that is lacking. They can tell you what you need to get, and you can drop it in. If you want further information in regards to the office, I'll just repeat what Conrad Carvalho said. It is located at 63 to 65 Lower Street, San Fernando. That's behind Ministry of Works and Transport for easy landmark. Well, all right. Close to anywhere around Naparima School and the ground is an easy landmark that you will find. So Lower Street is that street the street that runs from west to east, east to west. The company is in between there. So again, we just want to say thank you. We appreciate the support. We look forward to doing greater things. We look forward to building. We look forward to bringing back the oil field through this company to its glory days. They say with God all things are possible. So I firmly believe, so it is written, so shall it be done. So again, I just want to say thanks, and I appreciate you guys for being here.